Welcome, everyone, to another episode of All Too Well Read.
Woo!
Yay!
We're back. We made it. We're in our gym jams today because technically it is an evening record for my girl, Chris, up on the East Coast. And I was like, let's make it fun. Kind of forgetting and not realizing that it's a low-key, like, peak golden hour here. It is 5:30, but I work from home. I'm in my pajamas all day anyway. So now we're doing like a cute little, and I'm in the pajamas actually Chris gave to me, my little throne of glass pajamas.
They're beautiful, and they look really good with your hair color, if I may say. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Okay, tonight we're gonna talk about Iron Flame, and we're creating good vibes here with this nighttime jammy session, like a little sleepover.
Yes.
Except it's 5 o'clock there or whatever time.
Yeah. Except it's not even 6 p.m.
Woo!
But we are going to drink wine because, like, low key, I just got off of work. It's time.
What are you drinking tonight, Megan? What kind of wine are you drinking?
I am drinking a bottle of Josh. A Josh Pinot Noir. Pretty basic. I've been really into a chilled red. I don't know if this is supposed to be chilled, but I chill it anyway. And I enjoy it. So this is the last of the bottle. And I have another one low key ready to be opened.
She's ready. I'm drinking a white tonight.
What about you?
A white. I'm drinking a Gewürztraminer.
Ooh.
I wanted red. We didn't have any red left. So white it is.
White it is. Cheers.
Cheers. It's my big ass pour compared to you.
It would have been bigger if it was more.
For the listener, we both like hold it. Goodness, I didn't have any yet, I promise. We both held up our wine glass, and Megan has a proper pour, and mine's like just.
I'm just letting you know it would have been here if I had my way. Low key the other day, though. Let me take a drink. I accidentally forgot because I finished bottle of wine. I'm like, oh, but it's not enough. And then I went like not thinking. And then I poured a new bottle of wine in there. And I was like, I just mixed 2 completely different Sauvignon Blancs. I mean, low key, it tasted exactly the same. But I'm like, ooh, the wine girlies would hate me. They would hate to see me coming. But, it is what it is. But yes, we decided to drink wine this time. Have a little evening moment because normally we record this on the weekends, but last weekend we needed a break. I don't know about everyone, but like these retrogrades, life has been lifing, and also low key. Iron Flame, I think, like requires wine because it was an interesting read.
Yeah. It was really interesting. And we're gonna get into all of the things regarding that. But yeah, I agree. This past week has been so weird. It's just been so weird. So I'm happy to be here on a Wednesday night, on a hump day evening, to talk about Iron Flame.
It's been an interesting read. I want to say, thinking about why couldn't I remember the book? Thinking about Fourth Wing. This might be a terrible idea. I've had 2 sips of wine and I already can't put words together. No. When I think of Fourth Wing, right? Fourth Wing was a 5-star read. Like, she kept me from the beginning to the end. Everything about it was impeccable. Every moment. I was not bored. Everything was amazing. So I was really looking forward to Iron Flame. And then Iron Flame, I was like, okay, I have to continue with Iron Flame. And I know this is a beloved book. So this is not me shitting on it. I rated it a 4.3. So I enjoyed it. It just was a slow burn of the slowest burns of the slowest burns, and it had I think a totally different pace. But like 4.3 was me, and I would label that to one word would probably be like this was chaotic. Like it was I can't believe the things that happened in this book all happened in one book.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Granted, it was a very big book,
Huge.
and, um, again, for the listener, because if you're not watching, I just wanted to point it out, like, it's very hard to see, so this is probably not helpful. Compared to Fourth Wing and compared to Onyx Storm, the print is significantly tinier. So it is the
Interesting.
biggest book and the print is smallest, at least in the hardcover versions, comparing the 3 hardcover versions. Um, but so this is a reread for me. If you didn't hear it last week, I kind of talked about my reread experience of Fourth Wing. So I was very grateful for my Fourth Wing reread because the first time I read it, it was a weird time. I was coming right out of ACOTAR. I was still obsessed with that world. I was still new to fantasy. So I brought a lot of baggage into the Fourth Wing book, but ended up like being really obsessed and really excited with my Fourth Wing reread. So I was really excited to jump into Iron Flame, especially because this first time I read it, I kind of struggled with it. I gave it a 4-star read the first time I read it, but when I was considering rereading the whole thing, like, as a whole before going on into Onyx Storm, I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I wanna reread this," because Iron Flame was really hard for me, and we'll get into later, like, the components specifically that were difficult for me. I was excited to read Iron Flame again, so that maybe, like, I could have, like, a redeemed kind of experience. Unfortunately, though, the things that I didn't understand the first time, I didn't understand again, and the things that bothered me the last time and that were kind of, like, really difficult for me to, like, get through, it was even harder this time, and I didn't have the component of, like, being surprised, right? So, like, for me last year, the ending really made Iron Flame's rating go up in my eyes, but this time I
Mhm.
didn't have that, like, surprise, and so this time around, so audience, you can pick. You can say she gave it a 4, but this time around, I'm in between 3.5 and 3.8, um, and it kind of gave me the same reading vibes experience as House of Flame and Shadow, which we
Totally
covered in our
agree.
very first episode of All Too Well Read in terms of chaos, but the chaos was a little bit more palatable in this one, I think. Um,
Totally.
yeah, it wasn't like, "What the hell are we doing?" It was like, "Oh, interesting. Oh," it was like more like yeah, it was better. If I had to characterize one word, like, take this book at one word, it would be whiplash, and so as we go and we dive into this book, you'll see why we picked our words. I mean, should we talk about where we left off in Fourth Wing?
Because it is kind of crazy. Like the end of Fourth Wing, right? Like we were in, again, this is going to be, I don't know how to say the towns of anybody. So Xaden's house is what I'm calling his little house and like the town that they're in. The amount of times for this book specifically, I feel like Fourth Wing, I did not have to crack open that map once. Not a once. This one, I was like, okay, damn, like I'm cracking open this map, but also I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I still low key, I was cracking open that map and I still didn't know where we were or how to say anything. So again, I'm going to just preface, I'm going to say everything wrong and we're just going to roll with it. But yeah, we were in Xaden's house, right? Like after the big fight where we found out the venin was and then they came back. And so that's kind of where we were. It was like, because that was my biggest question. I'm like, are they just going to go back to school?
Right.
And the answer was yes. They did go back to school, which is crazy. Which is crazy. And they wound up, I mean, I think the shock, like, for the beginning, for me, like, the beginning was slow, but those first few scenes were actually great, right?
Mhm.
Because, like, I feel like they rolled in, and that was the biggest thing. It's like, okay, now we know Xaden, now we know that Dane is stealing everyone's memories. He's a huge, like, liability. Violet's a huge liability also because she doesn't know how to shield properly. And so that's kind of where we were. We were figuring out, like, are we going to go back to school? The answer was yes, because if they didn't, I forget the reasoning. I think maybe they would be like, they would come looking for everyone and then find them in Xaden's secret fortress that's supposed to not exist. So they went back to school. And that's kind of where we started off. And like those first few scenes of like showing up and being like, hey, we're still alive. And we
Yeah.
got a little glimpses of mom. You started to question, like, oh, is she as bad as we think? But like low key, besides, and also Xaden just ripping Dane to shreds, being like, will never choose you, like, blah, 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 blah. I love a public declaration. I love a public I can't talk. I love a public declaration. I love it. So, anyway, that was iconic. But then everything else that I feel like happened since then in the beginning was so slow. Like finding out that they were going to be separated for a week at a
Mhm.
time and
Yeah.
not separated far enough that you can't talk mind to mind. Hated that. Hated that they fought every time they were together. Absolutely hated that too. And then Dane's dad started assassinating everybody. And that was fucking crazy. That was crazy.
Well, I do wanna mention we also, leaving Fourth Wing, found out that Brennan was alive.
Yes, of
So,
course.
important. Of course, he's not really in the beginning of the book when they go back to school. Sorry. I don't know why that's so funny. When they go to school. And I'm not trying to jump ahead, but never mind. Never mind. What is school? Yeah, it did feel really slow in the beginning for sure. There was a lot of war strategy things that aren't just my particular cup of tea in terms of like excitement. And it was really hard when Xaden and Violet were separated because it was just like, really? Like, this whole thing just happened at the end of Fourth Wing, and, like, now we're, like, separated, and it was kind of frustrating, but, there was some interesting things that happened. We met Eric, who is the king's son.
Yes, and
Um
I love him.
Yeah.
I love
We
him.
Yes, I love him too, and I think he's gonna have, an even bigger role in the future. We also got introduced to Sloane, who's Liam's sister,
Yeah.
who she's supposed to be or feels obligated to take care of. However, Sloane wants nothing to do with her, and that was really interesting. We found out that Jack Barlow is alive. He just shows up to class one day. Look at what we've been working on, guys. I don't for a war college situation where it's very okay that people are just like pushing people off the parapet and like all this stuff. I don't understand why we're resurrecting somebody that, you know, got unalived, if you will, right? Like, isn't that part of the process? Like, why are we choosing
Girl.
him?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I actually couldn't fucking believe. And meanwhile, I'm reading all of this in a fucking airport bar right now. So, like, not only did I have to read the shower scene in, I'm delayed, guys. Just like, okay, for the ones that are watching us on YouTube, pretend this is my phone as my little Kindle. I'm reading the shower. I'm parked next to two men sitting, reading the shower scene. Like I'm hiding my test, trying to like enjoy it, but also like not show anyone what I'm reading. So I have that. And then fucking Barlow just comes back to class. I'm like, Out of all the people in the world that we could have brought back to life, why the fuck is that guy here? And I didn't believe him for a second that he was just this nice, dandy old man. And I'm not gonna jump ahead, but I disagree. Like, out of all the resources, out of all the people that have died, we're gonna choose to bring out back the guy that's openly been unaliving classmate after classmate, openly has been trying to kill Violet since day fucking one. Like, make that make fucking sense,
I mean, I
bro.
guess that's why, right? Because Violet is a target. So bring back the guy that will do the deed. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't get it, but we're gonna get into Nolan later. I have a lot to say about him,
Yeah.
but please.
For sure. So, I mean, I feel like the beginning part of the book, it was just kind of this like stop and go situation where you have these moments that we've talked about that are
Mhm.
really interesting, intriguing. You know, you also have like the uh the time that they're kidnapped to do like a field exercise and they're
Oh, with the
signet
infantry, right?
yeah, they're they can't communicate with their dragons. So you have all these moments, but I felt like they were weighed down by these chapters of just like maps and territories, but also like the Xaden and Violet like separation and how that was going and you know, we're going to talk a lot today about Violet and Xaden and their conflict and their different fights. But you know, I think the we'll talk about more of that later, but I think the beginning one at least covering that whole time period was her wanting full disclosure from him and him not being able to give that to her because of she needs to learn how to put her shields up because Dane can, you know, take her memories and everything like that. And her just being really upset with like the dishonesty, which is just interesting because also in the beginning of the book, you have her situation with Rhiannon when Rhiannon's like, "What's going on? Like, why aren't you talking to me? Like, I know something's going on and you won't tell me." And like, there was just like moments where I'm like, the communication is just could be better. And as the reader, you're like, why can't we just come to some kind of resolution with that? But
Miscommunication is my least favorite trope. It fucking sucks. Because I'm like, just fucking do it. Like, please. And you would think, like, I thought she was gonna start coming around to Xaden, you know, like when she did start to have, like, when she did have to start lying to her friends. Because then she was finally in a position where she's, I think, starting to realize firsthand, like, oh, okay, full disclosure is great. However, if I tell this to my friends right now, like, Dane can steal their memories, they can get in trouble, they could also be killed. Literally everyone that was with me in fucking Ressin, is that where they were? Where the battle was? I think, like, wherever Liam died.
yes, yes, Reston. That was it.
Ressin, right?
Yes.
Everyone in fucking Ressin's getting assassinated left and fucking right. So, yeah, I don't want my friends to fucking die. You would think that, like, once that started to happen, at least for me, I'm like, "Oh, okay, she'll start to come around to this whole full disclosure thing with Xaden." But alas, it did weigh down, and I'm so glad you brought up those other points of the books because it was really interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see, like, how that is all gonna come back around, especially with the infantry. Because, like,
Mm.
especially by the end, they were also, like, they were working together to, like, guard, and so, like, I don't know, I feel like there's these moments, and I think maybe that's why the beginning just I feel like she was just building a lot, like, she was laying a lot of things and putting and world building is world building. It's you can only make it so interesting, and so that's the only thing I can think of is, like, I think it's all gonna come back, but unfortunately, it was really bogged down by for me at least, by Xaden and Violet's constant fighting. I did
Yeah.
love that he wrote a letter.
That was nice. Mhm.
I loved it, and I love that then the letter was quoted at the beginning of some of the chapters, kind of like, the books and the translations of the journals and things like
Yes.
that. I
Yes.
thought that was cute. I just, like, also, like, I love a letter. I don't know if it's just, like, the lover girl in me. I do, like, love a letter. I don't know
She
why.
loves the letter, she loves the saddle.
Period. It's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's where I'm at. But yeah, I feel like those really important parts were just really bogged down by their just like not being able to get it together, and it fucking sucks to like
Yeah.
read that for so long. And I feel
Mhm.
like things really didn't turn around for me until like the cat, like the torture
Yeah.
scene. Like that
Yeah.
was huge.
The torture scene also had kind of that some of that relief where Violet finally, like, tells her friends, essentially,
Mhm.
like, what's going on,
Mhm.
um, which is, like, such a burden that she's carrying, and it's like, you know, that was one of the things. It's like Violet is mad because Xaden can't tell her all the truth, but then she's, like, not telling Rhiannon exactly for very similar reasons, and so it's just kinda like, at times, it felt hypocritical, but I know it was nuanced and everything like that, but I just love the interrogation scene was, like it was really, like, exciting, it was intriguing, it was also like, the power of friendship, like, it was just a really great moment where you have all of these friends, and now we have this, secret, and we're not breaking, and it was painful reading about everyone, like, being tortured and all the things, and, yeah, I think that was the first it's the first time where it was like, "Okay, we're really, like, kicking this off, and now, like, the plot's turning, and now, like, things are getting, like, super juicy."
Dude, absolutely. The torture scene for me, one, the fact that she didn't immediately graduate, well, I get because then Xaden obviously took her and they fucking left, bro. Which like iconic. Which is like that's what was crazy. It's like I can't believe they like basically like dismantled a whole war college and then left and then came back. Like I can't believe this all happened in one fucking book. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like so that's why like sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? Like so the torture scene was insane. She didn't break. So proud of her. Liam, like,
Yep.
for me, that whole scene was so amazing because Liam was there. S Rebecca didn't have to give us Liam. You know, we got little pieces because, of course, we have Liam's sister, Sloane, who was being a pain in the fucking ass. I don't like, don't blame her, but, like, also, like, just, like, knock it over it. Literally, your brother's died. Like, you can be mad. But like homegirl Violet's trying to help you out. Like, I don't even need to be mean. I do love that arc though of like her finally getting the letters though, and then like is actually like loves Violet. Not like loves, but I think like they're actually like friends now, which is really sweet. But anyway, Liam being there and supporting her through all of that and being like, no, you're not bringing like, I don't know. Or like when she was like, don't leave me. Like, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And like, this is where I do have to take a moment of silence. I do have to take a moment of silence because I owe Dane an apology. You know, before this scene, I was starting because, you know, he like battled fucking Violet on the mat and stuff like that. Meanwhile, and it was also iconic. She's like, if you touch me, I swear to fucking God, I'm gonna rip all your fucking limbs off. And I'm like, this is the Violet that I've been waiting for. Like, I have been waiting for a clapping back, badass bitch. And like, I feel like we finally started to see her a little bit more in this book.
Mhm.
We did get a little insecure. We'll get to that. But like, I feel like she's really started to like find her voice a little bit. And I remember writing in my little notes, you know, I'm starting to kind of feel bad. I don't think he actually knows, you know, like how bad this whole situation happened. You know what I mean? And especially, I mean, I ripped him to shreds in the fourth ring episode. I'm like, he's the villain of the series. I owe him an apology. I do, because he's not the villain of the series. But talk about whiplash. Like, so I'm like, maybe I need to apologize to him, but not yet. We'll see. Then he shows up. Varish brings him in, and Violet then shows him all of the memories. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Because either this is going to like make or break. So it's like, because basically it's like, gigs up. Like, you know, she didn't break, but now fucking Dane's here. So doesn't matter. He's gonna take your things. But she gives him the whole fucking story, lays it all bare on the fucking table. And when he turns around and he's like, she's a traitor, blah, 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 blah. Like, just start, and I'm like, I'm like, fuck you! I knew it. Like, I knew that he was not gonna be, because like it kind of reminded me like when he got the Amber truth, and even though he saw the truth, he was still in such like a denial of it, or maybe it was a denial that Violet did not trust him enough to share that with her. But then it turns out I owed an apology again. Immediately, maybe like a paragraph later, because it was Dane that actually fucked shit up and got them out of there, and then came up and then luckily gave Xaden enough time to also get there. Because that was heartbreaking, like realizing like, oh no, Xaden's not gonna come for me. Like Xaden's like, you know, he has all these people to, you know, care for, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how many times does this man have to tell you that he loves you without like necessarily saying that he loves you? You know what I mean? Like, he has said this multiple times. But anyway, to me, I do owe Dane an apology. I do. And like my only thing then with that I actually do want to talk to you about is that Varish, before he died, we finally find out that his signet is like how to break people, which like is fucked, by the way. Like, again, I do want to understand, and maybe we can have a discussion of this, like for people that are, and I actually brought it up in Fourth Wing, our Fourth Wing episode, people that are intrinsic,
Mhm, mhm.
intrinsic. You get
Because
it.
I don't think there's an R in there, but I could be totally wrong. Because I was, I'm sorry, in our last episode, I was saying, like, it's Bagsith, but, like, now I was, like, looking at it the other day, I was like, it's BASG, it's not BAGS, so I'm like, here I was confident, like, trying to be like, "Oh, Bagsith." I don't
I
know,
don't know.
I don't know.
Like, I also think Taran, like, I don't think I'm saying Taran correctly because it's the other way. Taryn, I think, is actually what you say. So, you know, it just is what it is. But intrinsic, we're gonna roll with it. People that can read your thoughts. Let's just call it what it is instead of calling it a special name. They have to die immediately, but like Dane can steal people's memories and that's fine. Or this guy knows how to break anybody and that's fine. Like, I'm just so confused, like why one thing is so bad and the everything else that is also like a weapon is not bad. Like, Violet can electrocute people. Some people can like freeze people from the inside out. So like I'm just a little confused, I guess,
You would
about like the differences. But anyway, we find out Varish. I was about to say Varric. Varish is like, I can like break people. And there's this quote that I highlighted because I was like, I don't know, it just really stood out to me. He was like, I, the strongest rider of your generation, put his shields down for like 1 second. And that's all it took for me to know exactly how to break them. And I'm like, who is he talking about? Who is he talking about? Is he talking about Xaden? Is he talking about her? Who, like, do you know what I mean? Like her being Violet?
yeah.
Like, I just found that to be very interesting. And obviously I know he's dead, but like, I don't know, it just really stuck out to me.
Or have we, like, not met them yet? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or was it Brennan? Like, 'Cause he like,
Mm,
maybe you consider him part of the generation, like, I don't know. All I do know is that, like, I just feel like that was important, and maybe that's me clowning and maybe it's not important at all, but I just found that to be very interesting, and then I think that happened, and then Dane, like, had his little come to Jesus moment,
mhm.
and I feel like that's when things really fucking turned around. Really, really turned around.
Yeah.
But speaking of people being the fucking worst, Nolan's the one that did this whole fucking thing in the first place.
Tell me your thoughts about Nolan. I don't know if I have many thoughts as you other than, like, why. I mean, I know he is, probably ordered by higher ups to do what he's doing.
No, honestly, I think this is a fucking choice. I'm sorry. And maybe this is me just being like the worst. Maybe it is order. Do you think that he got ordered to save fucking Jack fucking Barlow? I just think there's more to the fucking story. Like, especially like, okay, Nolan was always like this sweet, cute little mender. That's how I imagined him. Like, I imagined him like this short, cute little old man that would like come around and like heal everybody and be like, Violet, you and your dislocated shoulder. No worries. Like, I don't know. That's I imagine it with an accent. I don't know. That's how I imagine this man. So then to find out that Nolan, 'cause that's what he said. He's like, you're working with these people like it's going against the better of Navarre. Like he thought he was doing the right thing, low key, by like by being an aide in torturing Violet and mending her over and over and over again. And so meanwhile, I'm like, you've been mending this girl since she was like a wee child. So
Yeah.
I'm just fucking pissed that we have this stupid fucking man healing Jack fucking Barlow, okay? Bringing him back from the dead when he was venin the whole time. The whole time. And then, so it's like, that's to me, I'm like, oh, I've now found the new villain of the series. It's actually fucking Nolan, bro. What the fuck? Also, Dane's dad.
I'm sorry, can I actually ask because was Jack Venom from the beginning or did he somehow I don't know why, and we'll talk about this. I have a hard time understanding some of the things in this book, but I think I just assumed that part of his, like, resurrection or coming back from the dead had to somehow do with, like, him, like, turning Venom to, like, they turned
No,
him Venom. No.
no, he was venin since the challenge with Violet.
Oh. Oh.
And that's why he felt that weird fucking power because he was siphoning her power. He was like channeling. Remember like when they were battling, they were like, he's using power, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
yeah.
It's because he was channeling fucking earth power or whatever and being fucking venin.
So, could that be who Varish is talking about? Like, there was a writer and I got into his
Maybe.
mind and something with the history there, or
Maybe, but I don't see Jack Barlow as fucking broken by any means. I mean, he's
Mm,
fucked up, but
mm.
like, and maybe that's what we're kind of working, like just figuring out. Yeah, because yes, he was venin since the challenge with fucking Violet, and she poisoned him with the fucking orange. So like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but now low key, Nolan is the only one that knows how to deal with a venin on the reg.
Okay.
And now are more people venin than we realize
Right.
that are just amongst us and we don't even know.
Can you help me too, like, as we're talking about this specifically, like, how are people venom? Do they become venom?
Yeah, they become venin.
And how do they become venom again?
They channel from the earth. So like they take the magic from the earth and they channel it within themselves.
Hmm,
So that's why like with Xaden at the end when his hands were on the earth, you channel it in front, like instead of doing your own power like with your dragon, instead of channeling your dragon's power, you channel the earth. But, like,
How's the
because
earth
that
get
can't be
more?
reciprocated, it becomes this weird thing where, like, then you just keep wanting more of it,
Okay.
and it kinda just gets out of control. At least that's my loose understanding of what venin
So
is.
then my
But
question.
the wyverns are created from the venin.
Uh-huh. Wonder how they do that.
I'm
Interesting.
assuming we'll find out.
This one's for all of the details that I totally know.
I'm just like, I genuinely cannot believe, because like, to me, it's like, we're gonna rescue, and, like, so he knew. Like, Nolan knew
Mhm.
that Jack Barlow was venin. He had to have, because that's how they created the fucking antidote that takes you off from your dragon or whatever. And so, but then you go and imprison Violet? Like, I don't know. I just, like, there's just something there that I feel like maybe we don't know all the answers to, and I'm still a little confused about, but, like, clearly there's just, like, something in this that we don't know. But, like,
Yeah.
fuck Nolan and fuck Jack Barlow. I thought we were done with that man. Here we are, back again.
Yeah. I think too, and I'm gonna jump ahead to, like, the very ending, but just since we're talking about Jack Barlow, just the fact that when he was taking the wards down, and this is, like, before we find out that he's venin, so, like, we're in Bagskith, um, and he's gonna take the wards down, right? At any time I say something incorrect, let me know. Um, but 'cause I'm very insecure. But I just the fact that he killed his own dragon was honestly probably one of this time and the first time I read it, one of the most, like, excruciating, like, emotional things, just because, like, we've found out from, like, Violet, like, her connection with Tarn, her connection with Andarna, and just, like, the love there and, like, the safety there, and how we watched Liam die because of the death of his dragon and, like, all this stuff, and to like, before you, like, really find out, like, the truth about Jack, and he kills his own dragon. And I was like, "Ah,
Dude.
crazy,
Well,
crazy."
now that you saying that even reminds me, it was like when we were at the threshing, and he was
Yeah.
just gonna go off and kill fucking Andarna,
Oh my
and
gosh.
he was
Which
venin then. I
right.
think something happens to you, like, because 'cause you're like, "Oh, I just take the power from the earth, like, I don't need this fucking dragon anymore." It's, like,
Right.
really it's heartbreaking. Like, it is so fucked, especially because like, you're a horrible person, and a dragon still chose you.
Well,
And then
and
you're gonna
yeah,
go and kill them? Fuck
and
you, dude.
but
Fuck
also
you,
the
dude.
yes, but also the fact that, like, part of the ending, like, chaos was the fact that they're trying to protect the area where the dragons, like, hatch and stuff, because like,
Mhm.
that's where, like, the venom and the wyverns are, like, because what it was it Jack that planted the lures or whatever?
Yes, because he's a punk ass, stupid ass bitch.
Right.
Sorry, continue.
So, like, now it just, like, makes a little bit more sense why he would go and be so nonchalant about killing Andarna, especially because she's, like, her own mystical question, being that we'll talk about later. Um, but because I just remember being like, "Why the heck does, like, he think he's just gonna, like, go in there and kill a dragon and not, like, have all these dragons, like, come after him?" You know?
Totally.
So and it's just because it's obviously, like, it's people against venin and, like, dragon versus wyvern, so, like, I don't know. So many questions.
There's a lot
So
of
many
questions.
questions. But, I think if we're on a roll talking about the people that are really rough for us, I would love to talk about Cat. Um,
Cat, cat, cat.
so, Bodhi let it slip that Xaden was with this girlie named Cat, And I just remember, and Violet's like, "What?" And Bodhi's like, "Oh, shit."
Whoops.
He never loved her like he loves you, all this stuff. Um, so Kat's an interesting person. We meet her back at Xaden's house. And essentially we find out all this information that was once like betrothed to Xaden. She wants like the crown of Tyrandor. I might be mixing that up with a name from Lord of the Rings, Celebrimbor, but it's
Your guess is as good as
something.
mine. It starts with a T. There's maybe a Y and a few S's and maybe a DOR. But that's all. I don't know much. I could read it and know.
Is Tyrandor, but she's the Llewellyn person,
Yeah.
and Xaden is the Eratia person. Anyway, she wants that crown,
She wants that crown.
and so but her power, is it a signet? Does she have a signet too, or what is it called? They have like a
I don't even
lesser.
call them signets because I guess they just call it mind control. But low key, I don't know the fucking difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically.
Right. So we don't know much like about her other than like Xaden and her had something, and then we go to Xaden's house and find out like all this information about like the betrothal and like the crown and all that situation. Um, and the girl is like rough. So Violet goes in like, "Oh, okay, you're gonna meet my ex," but finds out like all this information. And not only that, this girl's power, I'm gonna just call it power, is like heightening emotions, which is like literally the worst thing I can think of. If I'm like meeting like an ex's, or like, yeah, someone I'm with and their ex. Um, but she's just really, I'm sorry, I keep saying the same thing over and over. But eventually Violet is called to the mat with her and just is like poking at Violet, like, "Oh, do you know how like Xaden does like this in bed?" And like, "Oh, all these things," like telling her things that she doesn't know yet. And I just like, when I was reading that, like, I really, really felt it. I was like, "Oh," like, I don't know how Violet like, I am not her. I am not that woman. I would be, like, crying and, like, insecure and, like, hunched over, like, hiding over here, like
No, you're correct. I am not Violet either. I talked about it in the Fourth Wing episode, like Violet's a better woman than me for this, that, and the third. Violet's a better woman than me because you bet your ass I would have murdered her on the spot, on the spot after saying those things to my fucking face. I would have murdered her, no fucking questions asked. I don't care who the fuck she is. How literally dare you? And like again, I like, yes, was it cute? Xaden comes. He's like, I know, I don't mind if you kill her, but like, I know you're gonna hate it. So like, it was cute. But she's the fucking worst, bro. She gets this really interesting arc though
Mm.
that I find to be very interesting. But like, to me, there was parts where it was just like embarrassing. I'm like embarrassing, like for Cat, like especially after the whole fight. Like then again, we get into this other argument where she's screaming over and over again, like "It's my crown." She just sounded like a spoiled ass princess bitch, and I'm like, how are you and Xaden ever together? Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. I would have murdered her on the spot, in my opinion. And like,
Yeah.
it's very interesting that then, especially because she was giving Violet all this shit about that other flyer dying, which it wasn't her fucking
Oh,
fault.
right. Right.
That's why it was like one thing after another. If it wasn't Xaden, it was about the fucking flyer that was dying. And
For
like,
sure.
it was a phone. I'm like, her arm was literally like, dangling by a fucking thread. Like, she
Mm,
tried her best. Like, sometimes people die. I don't know. It's just like so fucked up. What I did love about this flyer, like, rider dynamic is that, like, they both got to talk about their schooling, and the flyers are like, "Yeah, you guys are really fucked up. Like, no one dies when they don't get picked by a fucking griffin. They just, like,
yeah.
swim offshore. Like, y'all are killing your classmates. Like, you're so fucked up." And I'm like, thank you. Because, like,
Yeah.
it's so shocking, and I know it's, like, it's something that they brag about, right? They brag about this, like, like, being able to live through this brutality and, like, all this stuff, and I'm like, "Is that something to brag about, you guys? Is it? Like, you guys claim that you're a family, yet, like, we're killing we're killing everybody. Everybody's trying to kill us." Like,
Yeah.
it's just fucking crazy nuts.
That just reminded me how it like, when we were talking about school before, just like when they when they do and I don't think we talked about it here on the podcast yet, but back when after, like, Varish is killed and all this stuff, and they go and they plead before, like, their classmates in their school, like, "This is what's happening. This is the truth. Like, come come away with us," essentially. It's just so funny that, like, they don't, like, go prepare for war. I mean, they do, but, like, they go back to school, like, they have classes, and they have and I
Yeah.
understand they have to train, but it's just funny that we're not, like it's presented as, like, a class rather than, like, "Okay, here's the territories, here's the map, here's the strategy, this is, like, our next plan." It's very much like, you know, just, the classroom setting is really funny. But anyway, we're talking about Cat and, after the sparring scene and Xaden is saying like, "Oh, like, I don't care, you could have killed her, whatever." He takes her into that room and, like, I really wanna hear your recap of My House, My Chair, My Woman. I want you to do it. But, they share a very, like, steamy, intimate moment, which I want Megan to talk about if you'd like. He's just so much better at this. But at like, I just like going from the mat where like the emotions were heightened and Kat's like shit talking essentially. If it were me, I could not be in that like steamy, spicy moment. I understand that the part of the point of that was for Xaden to show her like, "No, like, you're my woman, and, like, you're like, I'm choosing you, and, like, there's, like, no competition." But for me, like, the whole time in my head, it'd be like, "Kat said this. Kat said this. Kat talked about the things that" like, I I would this is, like this is the therapy that I need. This is the thing that I have to be, like, dwelling on, and so when I was reading that scene, that's what I was thinking about. But
Mhm.
then I felt a little justified because right after that like, sexy scene ended, they started talking about Cat again, and I was like, "This" and then they were fighting again. So I
I
just
know. I
and
know. The one thing is that I could not understand. I'm like, "Can we just stop fighting?
yeah,
Please, for the love of God."
and
And I've been waiting for this scene because this
yeah.
scene is talked about often. Like, I knew My House, My Chair, My Woman was coming. I've had people send me reels about it, and I'm like, "I didn't fucking get there yet. Shut the fuck up." But it's fine. Um, it's fine. It's not like it's a major spoiler. It was a great It's very interesting because also what's really cool about that scene that I'm just realizing right now is at the end of that, she gets into Xaden's thoughts. Like, he pushes his
Yes,
thoughts into her. And
yes.
now I can't help but wonder. I'm Carrie. I just can't help but wonder.
Tell me.
Was it the bond or was he intrinsic or whatever, however the fuck you say it? Now I'm like, oh shit, that was another nod to him having this crazy fucking signet power that we
Yeah.
did not realize. I mean,
Mhm.
to me, the scene itself is iconic because not only is he saying, like, obviously there's no competition, there's no comparison, she's now also it was a spicy scene, but it also had a lot of, like, information. We find out that,
Yeah.
like, oh, he's, like, an heir of, like,
Mhm.
a whole fucking kingdom. Oh,
Mhm.
this is a throne. Like,
Mhm.
this is not only his house, but, like, this is, like, he's the main fucking guy, and, like, all Cat cares about is getting the fucking crown. Meanwhile, Violet didn't even know he had a fucking crown to begin with, right? And so, obviously, like, that part was iconic, and then the thoughts part was also iconic because now when you look back, it's like, "Oh, that was his intrinsic power."
Mhm.
However, then everything after, he's like, "I can't," like, holding himself back, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "I wanna do this for you." And then, yeah, and then we start fighting about fucking Cat again. And it's really interesting, and I think we had to start fighting about Cat because that's when we find out it's like, she's like, she can't plant thoughts within you and feelings within you. They have to already be there. My
Yes.
one thing where I was like, "Violet, shut the fuck up." I rarely say, "Violet, shut the fuck up," I'm not gonna lie. I mean, sometimes with the full disclosure thing, I'm like, "Please, Violet, shut the fuck up." She even has her own internal thoughts. She's like, what when they were, like, hooking up or something when she was back, I think it was maybe around the shower, it's like, "I don't want this moment to end, like, even if I'm the only one standing in your way." It's like, "Yeah, can you not stand in the fucking way? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is wrong with you?" But anyway, she's going on and on, um, having these internal thought like, in the mat scene, he's like, "I," or not, it wasn't even the mat scene yet. It was when they were at her dad's house, Kat's dad's house, and she is in the dress or whatever, and they go into we're kind of finding out for the first time that Kat is the ex,
Yeah.
and she was betrothed and all of this, and she's having all these insecure thoughts, like, "Why is Xaden with me when he can be with her?" Blah, 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 and she has this and she's like, "I never compare myself to other girls like this. Like, I've never been like this before. Like, what the fuck?" And I'm like, "Girl, please. I'm sorry." Like, and I know her excuse was like, "You don't have to be pretty at Bagsath." Whatever, however the fuck you say the fucking war college name. You don't have to be pretty. Like, pretty's not gonna keep you alive. And I understand that, but I'm like, "Girl, come on." I'm sorry. I was like, we've all been there. We've
Yeah.
all been there. We've all been the girl comparing ourselves to the gorgeous fucking ex that, like, you know, on paper seems like a perfect match, and obviously it's not, right? Like, those are our own, like, insecure thoughts. But that fight after, I feel like, start like needed needed to happen for the reader so we can start to understand, like, how Kat's powers work
Yeah.
and realize it's like, "Oh, okay, she's only feasting on the things that, like, are already alive within us, and
Mhm.
now this is something that clearly I have to move through." Because that's what Zayden was saying is like, "Okay, I can maybe understand, like, the weak stuff or, like, whatever, but, like, there's insecurity there, and you're one of the most powerful writers
Yeah.
on the world." And one of my honorable mention quotes from Taryn, and this is actually when I laughed out fucking loud, and I'm like, "I love him." Low key, he's a hear me out. He's a hear me out. He would go on my hear me out cake. I don't fucking care. I don't care, period. Um, when he I think it was the first time we find out, it's like, "Oh, we're meeting Kat, whatever." And so she's being all insecure, and he says, "To which I will remind you, not a single dragon chose her, and you were selected by two. Pull yourself together." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "That's right. Thank you."
Yeah.
He's always a voice of reason, and I
Yeah.
just really love that. But those are my thoughts on Kat. Like, she's she's the worst, but then, of course, by the end, when they go through, like, she could have ran away, and she really came out, and the same thing kinda happened. She had a really interesting arc, and another person that had a very interesting arc, of course, talked about a little bit, was Dane.
I think by the end, she got redeemed, a little bit
She
more.
brought her to the healer.
Yeah.
Like, she waited for her
Yeah.
after that whole was that Varish's dragon that tried to kill them all? The orange one?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think
'Cause
so.
they just
I
killed
think so.
Varish, they didn't kill the dragon.
Right. Right. I think you're right.
I think so.
Uh, his is orange too, right? Jack
Jax,
Barlow's
I
is
think
orange.
so.
Yeah, so Varish's dragon is orange, and so is Jack Barlow's, which is interesting. Um,
Interesting. Indeed.
hmm,
Hmm.
was not intentional. I don't know. um, but yeah, and you mentioned Dane again, and I think one of my favorite lines or times was back when like Dane is trying to like figure out where he stands. He's trying to figure out all the information that he's given. He asks Violet, um, "Do you love Xaden?" And she said yes. And he says, "Okay, I'll trust him as much as you do." And that was a big step for Dane. It was so sweet. I mean, what a perfect thing to say. That's all he needed to say. You know what I mean? Brave for him to say it because, he's loyal and allegiant to, Navarre and everything and he just wants to do the right thing. And sometimes I think he just it's hard for him, like, the wolves he's just dealing with the wool, like, that's been over his eyes, the propaganda, if you
1,000%.
will.
1,000%. Because that's really what it is. Like, and I gave him a lot of shit in Fourth Wing because you know what? He really did fuck up. And, once he started, like, Violet and him, like, getting together and starting to do the translating the journals, like, it was really cute because it's like, okay, like, you know what? Like, you were my best friend. And,
Mhm,
like, it was really hurtful that, like, you didn't believe in me. And, like, then all this stuff happened. And then I know it was maybe by accident, as he said, for the first time, and, like, you thought you were doing right by your dad, and because that's his thing, and that's, I think, what can get him in trouble, right? He just was trying to do the right thing, and
yeah.
by doing the right thing, it actually hurt a lot of people, and it got people fucking dead, and, like, low-key, his dad is actually the one that's the fucking worst, and I low-key think because he's still alive, and now, with General gone, I just have a feeling he's I just don't think we're done with his story. It's one of my biggest questions, but, like, I thought it was so sweet and, like, I do believe everyone deserves a redemption arc, but it was really interesting that, like, Kat got a really great redemption arc, and so did Dane, and especially, like, when Violet put it, he's like, "Yeah, like, he could have stayed loyal to Navarre, right? I mean, his dad's literally second in command. Like like both him and Violet like lived and breathed Navarre. Like if anyone's going to be like diehard loyalist, you would think it would be the two of them. And especially Dane, who's always trying to follow the rules, wouldn't bend them even if Violet was about to be brutally murdered in the fucking threshing, wouldn't have stepped in, wouldn't have mattered. She was going to be a
Mhm,
goner. And now to, kind of like have this turn, it's like, okay, not only did he see the truth, he decided to do the right thing. He decided to leave the college and go back with everyone else, be a part of the revolution, even though all these people hate him. A lot of it, like, and so that's fucking hard to go from like wing leader, right? Go from
mhm.
wing leader,
Yeah,
top of his class, yada, 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 about to graduate to then going and starting new because now that he sees the truth, he obviously can't ignore it, but it is fucking hard. And so I do give him a lot of credit. I was nervous about him like understanding what this was, but I agree. Like, and especially that moment, it's like, okay, I'll trust him too. And I'm
yeah.
like, did you not trust him? But like, you like left your whole life. If I don't know how you didn't like, I don't know how you abandoned all of that. I guess maybe just because when you saw the truth from Violet, it just was what it was.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I also thought it was really, really beautiful. I agree. I agree. And we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I like low key feel like his dad is coming back in some way. And I'm really interested to see how that works.
Yeah. He kinda disappeared there for a second, right?
Yeah. Well,
He
because
was very
after that
active.
first scene, and she like, the general finds out that it was Dane's dad that ordered this hit on fucking Resin, she sends him off, and that's when Varish came in,
Yeah.
who is also the worst. You know what I mean? So it's like like we replaced one bad guy with another awful human being.
Mhm.
Um and so but he's still alive somewhere
Yeah. Some
at one of the bases. So I just have a feeling, yeah, I wonder what is going to happen with his loyalty and like what's going to happen when push comes to shove. Is it time to talk about Zach? I was about to call him Xylet. Um,
that's their pet name. Is that what it's called when you combine 2 names? I forget. That
that's
was the big thing.
their
2 names.
celebrity couple
2
name.
yeah, 2
Um, I feel like it's time to talk about. I feel like our biggest thing, which is Xaden and Violet. And like, I really want to know your thoughts because again, this is a reread, so I really want to understand your thoughts on like how you felt reading them again, like how like what you think the state of their relationship is. Just give it to me straight.
right. Well,
As
I
we start pouring our second glass of
I
wine. I did
know.
mine
I'm
already,
gonna pour
but
more.
do it, girl. I'll pour a little bit more too. I'll pour a little bit more too.
Especially because we're gonna start talking about hard things.
We
Not
are,
hard
yeah,
things,
we're
but
getting into the part of the book where we are talking about hard things.
my grievances. My grievances. Um, okay. The first time that I read Iron Flame, I do remember there being bickering between Violet and Xaden a lot. I don't know why, but my memory was more about the intrinsic thing, which is so interesting because when I read it this time, I'm like, their conflict there did not last like too long. It's just so interesting, like how your memory changes. But anyway, I remembered them being in conflict a lot. I remember the first time reading it that I was so 1000% on Xaden's side about everything. So the first time I read it, I remember just being like, Violet is so whiny. Violet is so like, I really didn't care for Violet, especially as the conflict builded.
Mhm.
This time around, thankfully, the plus is that I wasn't always, like, so down on Violet, like, there are moments that I actually think that she was in the right. For example, when the conflict of the time is that Xaden is telling Violet she's not asking questions. She's not asking the right questions. When it comes to, like, Cat, for instance, which we just talked about, for me, if I know nothing about an ex, but I'm gonna meet them for the first time, you better tell me, significant other, partner, before I meet them, that you were once engaged to them. So,
Period.
when I find out in person, was it from Kat? Or I don't remember, but, like, it was, like, a weird situation where she was, like the rug was pulled out from under her and she found out this information. And
Mhm.
Xaden's response was, "Well, you didn't ask." How is she supposed to know? Is she supposed to ask, "Oh, were you engaged to this person?" Um, so I just wanted to say, like, this time around, the perk of this time was that I did not, like, get down on Violet so much. However, the bickering between Violet and Xaden was from the get-go, was from the time that the book was open. It was from when Fourth Wing ended because, she was like, "Oh, you know, I love you, but, like, I don't know if, like, we can be together because you kept all this stuff from me."
Mhm.
Um, then we open up Iron Flame, and the conflict is all about how she wants full disclosure, and then it moves into, gosh, so many things. But you're not asking the right questions. It was just a roller coaster of either we're fighting, we're bickering, we're not on the same page, we have horrible communication, or we're having these super intimate, steamy scenes. And I'm like, what what is in this relationship? Like, where is like the love and intimacy and passion in the other ways? Because right now, this whole book, this relationship is characterized by lust, passion, and I'm not using lust in like a derogatory term. I just mean like it's steamy, it's spicy.
Yeah, they have
Get a
that
letter.
clearly have a very strong physical connection. They don't
Right,
have a problem in
right,
that regard.
right. Or we're just arguing all the time, and it honestly really got to me, and it really made me struggle sometimes through this book. And then also we have the fact, that she finds out that she finds out her own mother made a deal with Xaden,
Mhm.
right? He would protect her in exchange for him being able and the marked ones being able to be part of the quadrant and everything. But then she's not asking him about that, and she's keeping it from him. And it's just like it's all also just messy with this, like, intrinsic layer too, right? Because when you find out that information, it's like, well, of course he wants her to ask questions because I guess he can't read her mind, but he knows, like, intentions, like, he knows what's up. So, he doesn't wanna disrespect the boundaries of, I guess, her mind. But he's just like, "You have to ask questions, you have to ask questions," but she doesn't know why she has to ask questions because
Yeah.
he just knows more than she knows he knows, and it's so messy. It's so messy.
Totally.
And I do have, like, questions about how that's gonna work going forward just because how are you in a relationship with somebody who knows what's going on in your brain all the time, like and I guess the shields can come into play with that.
And I guess that's why too, like, when you look back, like, why he was so, like, trying to train her shields from the beginning and was, like, really, really adamant. Like, yes, about Dane, but I also feel like it was also for him as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um, and I thought that was really, really interesting. But I agree with everything that you said, like, especially when it comes to the X stuff, because I think as girlies girlies with partners. There have been times I've gone to weddings and been like, "Hey, Jason, I just want to let you know we're going to be spending a lot of time with this man. We hooked up. I'm just letting you like it's just common courtesy
Yeah.
because he doesn't need to ask, "Oh, Megan, did you do any like how are you supposed to know, right?" And so I agree. There was times where I'm like, "Okay, sometimes I know she's not asking questions, and some of the things kind of like by the end when it came to the thing with the mom and the deal, she's like, "I was scared to ask the question because I didn't wanna know the answer," and, like, all of this stuff, and I think that's probably, like, their biggest issue is, like and she said this too, she's like, "I feel like I don't know you," and, like, how do I love you when I feel like I don't even know you?" And it reminded me of, like, Myra Mira? What I feel like I'm saying her name weird. Mira is how I read it in my mind, but I said it Myra this time, sorry. Mira, when they went to Monastrat or whatever, they had that thing, and she was like, "You don't know him." Why did I say it fucking weird again?
Isn't that like a vaginal cream? Uh,
Monostat! I put an
oh,
R in there. But low-key, correct. It is for a yeast infection. Whatever the fuck that base was called that starts with an M. That's kinda
I'm
like Monostat, but it's not. But it's not. Um,
sorry.
she said the same thing. Like, "Do you actually know him? You don't know him, blah, 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 blah." And, like, yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting dynamic of, like low key, it's kind of funny because I feel like what women want is for a man to read their minds. So it's like
Yeah.
kind of like it's like so it's kind of like, girl, except so obviously, but there's some things that we don't want them to read. There's some things that we don't want them to read, right? I think we all deserve like privacy.
Yeah.
But I think it's like their biggest thing. Like for me, the biggest issue was that I wrote it down. It wasn't until page 802 where they finally got on the same page and made up. 802 from page 0. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's a long fucking time for them, yeah, to like be bickering, be miscommunicating, not trusting each other, and with like my thing that actually I thought was the craziest thing that Violet did was because again, full disclosure, her whole thing this whole time, full disclosure, full disclosure. Okay. But then you start to realize, okay, I can't have full disclosure with everybody because life's a little bit more complicated than that. Life's a little bit more complicated than that. You're allowed to have your secrets, as my girl Kiki Palmer would say. Like, you're allowed to have your secrets. So, like, I'm a little, but fine. I can understand, like, partner to partner. You want to at least, like, when it has something to do with me, please, like, I don't have to dig it. I shouldn't have to, I'm not an archaeologist. I shouldn't have to be,
Yeah.
like, digging this out of you all the fucking
Mhm.
time. Like, that's exhausting. Also, to know what questions to ask is exhausting. Like, I like agree with her on that. But then
Mhm.
with the fucking wards thing, and like she finally figures out how to put the wards up, and she doesn't go to Xaden, and she goes to the fucking flyers first. And I understand she went to her girl Ree, and they went to the flyers. I understand what it had to do with them. That's fine. It was just all a little hypocritical. And just all a little like, oh, and then when we still finally told Xaden about the wards, it still took us till the very last moment. Okay, we're gonna put them up now. I was just like so confused about that whole situation. And like, yeah, it was just when it came to Violet and Xaden, it's this very, I don't know how to describe it. It's like they are so intimately connected to each other in a way. Like I know that there is love there, but it's really hard to know where that is. Cause it does just seem like a really weird, like trauma bonded fucking relationship, right? If
Mhm.
you look from the outside, it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
our dragons are together. And yeah, my mom made this deal. And I was really nervous that we only made the deal. Like, you were only into me because of that. Cause I understand that is embarrassing. Like, that is a little embarrassing. I wouldn't want my, forever person to have us, have a no-kill deal in
Yeah.
in the beginning, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, and so it's I there's parts that I get it and we don't wanna know the answers, but it's like, it is really nuanced, and I think maybe that's where Rebecca actually does a good job in writing these, like, morally gray or just, like, complicated, nuanced characters, like,
Mhm.
because when you really start to, like, dig into these aspects, like, you would think it's like, "Oh, it'd be easy, like, just talk to each other," and it just within the reality that they live in, it is just so much more nuanced than that, than simply just talking, because Xaden has an entire kingdom, and Violet, like, has 2 fucking dragons, and she was keeping all these secrets about Andarna, and, like, then, then the thing with her mom, and she doesn't wanna find out because every time she feels like she's finding out more stuff of Xaden, she's, like, nervous that it's just gonna fuck him up even more, and, like, it's just, like, a very it is exhausting, like, the thing is about the relationship, it does though the sex is great, let's just call a spade, like, though their physical chemistry is 10 out of fucking 10, it does
Yeah.
sound really exhausting and, like, hard for, like, they're, like, 20 something years old, like,
Yeah.
it does feel like a lot, and yeah, like, I wonder I do feel like there's love there, but I don't think it's as rooted as I would like it to be, besides the fact where it's like, this man is just in my brain, and not only in my brain, but he can read my thoughts,
Yeah.
kind of, like, he knows my intentions for everything,
Yeah.
and so, like, I don't know where the boundaries go, and I don't know where that leads, but it is a complicated it's a complicated thing, but I will say the last thing I'll say, when Xaden was like when he finally told her and all of this, and he started freaking out, and he was like, "Less than a minute. That's how long it took for you to fall out of love with me." Ugh!
Yeah, that
That
was
wounded
rough.
me. That part wounded me,
Yeah,
I will say.
that was and, we do have the Fourth Wing, like, love from the Fourth Wing book, right? Like, I feel like there is love there, and we found so much more depth, I should say. There's so much more depth that we got from Fourth Wing, and I think maybe it just got a little bit lost, um, in this book just from, like, the bickering and everything, um but also, like, side note, like, if you knew it's so interesting, like, to be in a position where you know the other person is, like, attracted to you even before, like, you get together, like, what is it like being with, like, somebody that, like, you actually know their intentions, they're into you and stuff like
Ugh, I would love that.
I'm like, is that, like, the best thing ever, or is that actually, like, not great? I don't know, but and
I
then
guess only when it's, like, you're into them too.
yeah.
If it's, like, the other way, it'd be like, "Ew, get the
I
fuck
just
away from
I
me."
don't know if it's, like, a little bit confirmation bias, but it is interesting too, like, just when I was reading Fourth Wing, all of the moments where oh my god, I almost said Pharaoh. What the fuck? When when Violet, has a thought and then Xaden responds, and Violet says, "Oh, I didn't realize I said that out loud." She says that, like, I think, like, at least 2 or 3 times in Fourth
Yeah.
Wing, and I think she probably says it too in this one too, so it's just, like it's just really interesting. It's just to know, like, the intrinsic thing and looking back on everything. But yeah, it was not my favorite part of the book. And then I guess, like, the only other, like, grievance that I would wanna talk about is just, like, a personal thing. I'm just gonna be honest with our little video and audio audience. I really struggled to fully understand everything that was happening in Iron Flame. I had a lot of moments where I would, like, read and reread and just not understand. And this is my second time reading it. The first time, I thought it was because I didn't know what all these creatures looked like, and so I couldn't picture any of the battle scenes. But again, this time, I don't know what it was, but all of the things, like, regarding, um, like, the orbs and the conduits and, like, the luminary and the faulty wards, anything that had to do with, like, the powers and the signets and, like, channeling it or, like, doing something to save or protect the areas, I had just a really hard time following what was going on, and I actually had to polo Megan when I was, like, finishing being like, "Can you tell me what happened at the end with the mom? Because I struggled." So, it's hard for me to say it out loud. I think I'm just a little bit intimidated because I know this is a fandom that really, really loves their Empyrean series, and so, when the series is not necessarily, like, being as amazing or, like, obsessive, as a lot of people are experiencing. It's, 1, hard to admit that, but it's also hard to be like, "Hey, guys, I don't know what the fuck is going on."
But, like, that's the beauty of a book club because, like, we do need, like, at least because I agree, like, I mean, for the majority of this book, and still to this day right now, I still don't understand how Violet's powers work. Like, I was really confused. Like, I know she, like, shot it through the clouds and then the venin died, and then, like, she was shooting, like, the bolts and then she got her new teacher, and there he was like, "Fuck that. Here's this little, like, conduit thing," which kinda reminded me of, what do they
But
call them in ACOTAR?
oh,
The little jewels that Azrael and fucking, uh I think they call them siphons, right?
it's been a long time.
So
I don't know.
the and Azrael and Cassian have to, like, channel their powers. I don't know why I did it like that. But Chris is like, "I don't know, girl." Maybe our audience can help me out. But it kinda reminded me of that. But yeah, I I was able to kind of grasp what was happening, but, like, my confusion started as, like, why aren't we putting the wards up? Like, I'm confused, and I'm still confused about why we can only put the wards up once. Like, when we were in Bagsath, she was like, "I can only do this once." I'm like, "Why?" I still don't really understand that question. But I think this and I think it's kind of I don't know if it's meant to be confusing because I think there might be more things like it's an unfinished series. So I think there's just like a lot that we don't know. And I think this world is just like low key just a little complicated. There's just like she world built the fuck out of it in
Yeah.
like a really good way, I will say. Like, but it is fantasy advance, I would say. Where like ACOTAR is like fantasy light. Like ACOTAR you can roll in. You like don't need to like world I don't know. I felt like there wasn't anything too complicated or too crazy going into it. Where like this is was very much like a world building. There is a lot going on. And yeah, luckily I grasped a little bit of like everything with the mom, which was crazy, right? Like so we go the wards I was confused, right? Like especially because also we have like the runes. There's just like a lot of elements to
Yeah.
keep track. And I think that's what makes it all confusing, right? Because we have like the runes and we have these things and the conduits and like all of this stuff. And then we have the wards. But like what was crazy and I thought was really interesting was like when we finally do find out, it's like, okay, we can put these wards up. And then Violet goes and like runs down. She's like, I'm going to do these wards after that weird interaction with the venin and like her no kill rule, which I then made things make sense because then when we saw Jack Barlow and we found out that he was venin, I was like, then why did he save fucking Violet when she was getting assassinated? Like, I was so confused. I'm like, if this man was fucking venin since the challenge, why was he saving Violet? And then I realized, oh, it's a no kill rule because those fucking nightmares that I called since day fucking one that were never nightmares to fucking begin with.
Yeah.
Period. I don't know how the venin are like getting into these guys' brains, but like they are. But like, anyway, I forget why I was going about this. She runs over Brennan luckily mends the fucking thing. She's pouring all of her power into it. She almost dies. She's going to sacrifice herself. But then the mom steps up. And it's really interesting because in that beginning scene when they all get back to school and you can start to see the concern the mom has, like, about the stuff that was going on unbeknownst to her. Obviously, again, Rebecca loves a complicated character, so I think she wrote her really, really well.
Mhm.
But I just found it to be really interesting where it's like, okay, now we came back and obviously we had the big reveal that like she finds out Brennan was still alive. And like I was like, that's gonna maim her. Like
Yeah.
Brennan is gonna show up to this meeting, it's gonna maim her. And it did.
Mhm.
And it did. But it was just kind of crazy because she was like, no, you're not going to sacrifice yourself. I'm going to sacrifice myself to get this thing imbued. And like, I mean, look, I mean, she saved the fucking day, but it was just real. I can understand why you felt like it was complicated and so because I think there's a lot going on. Because then also with her mom sacrificing herself was only a part of it, because then the other part was about Andarna
Yeah.
and Andarna being meanwhile, it's like Violet's smart. So even when I'm reading it and I'm like, literally Warwick's journal, even though I know it turned out to be like a lie, but it wasn't, 6 dragons and the combined one.
Mhm.
As a reader, when I'm reading this, I'm like, there's more than 6 like, I'm like, I know we have 6 dragons, but like, and she's like, that's all she was like focusing on. But I'm like, we have, it says a combined one. Like, why aren't we focusing on that and figuring out what this means? At first I was like, maybe a flyer, maybe a
Mhm.
griffin, like, I don't know. And then it turns out it was Andarna. And like, I low key didn't see that coming. I
Mhm.
didn't. I didn't. And I feel like you understood Andarna a lot more and like saw it a little bit more than I did. And so it was shocking. So it's like it took mom to imbue the fucking stone and then Andarna and then that's how it all got warded.
Yeah.
And then the venin went away. But it's just it was crazy. But I want to hear your thoughts about Andarna because like that was like, to me, that was crazy, and, like, the 600-year waiting period, like, it was just it was deep. Like, it was
Yeah.
just, like, really deep.
Yeah. So, the first time I read it, I think I again, because I wasn't understanding everything completely. Yeah, I just wasn't understanding everything completely, but I remember thinking and screaming at the book the first time that it was Andarna. However, I think I was incorrect in my reasoning for that, but it's really interesting how it happened to be true, and I did catch some things the second time around. So, for me, the first time I was like, "Okay, there's 6 colors at least, right? There's black, blue, green, red, brown, and orange." So I was like, "Those are the 6 dragons." Um, in terms of Andarna, I thought because she was, like, golden feather tail, I was like, "She is the 7th kind because she's rare and she's a different type of dragon," not kind of realizing that she was just, like, a wee little one that needed to grow and, like, figure and she would, like, become one of those 6 colors, I guess. So the first time I was like, "Oh, it's Andarna," thinking that she was, like, a 7th type of dragon, but reading this time around, there are some things that I picked up about Andarna that is really interesting and makes so much sense about why she would be the one combined. And I agree, it was really interesting to watch Violet trying to figure out this meaning of Warwick's journal and no one being like, "Okay, but why are we not talking about, like, what the one combined means? We're just focusing on this number 6." After Andarna comes out of the dreamless sleep, every time that Violet refers to or talks about Andarna in Iron Flame, she makes a comment about Andarna's appearance. So, for example, she says things like, "Oh, I noticed her scales shining green reflecting the grass, or appearing with a reddish sheen, or scales reflecting the snow and a silvery sheen in places," which clocking the silver was really interesting to me, and that made me clown a little bit. But, mentions of shiny blue like the sky. So, it was a lot of times when she was talking about Andarna, when she would come into the scene, she would just note that there would be, like, a different color that was bouncing off of Andarna's scales, and so that totally makes sense as we think about being the one combined because it's, like, literally, like, naming all of the colors. So, I think my I just have a lot of questions about her. Like you mentioned, she was, like, waiting 600 something years to hatch, like, for Violet. I wonder what Violet's dad was studying and why, what was going on, like, the 600 years ago. And just because the silvery color was mentioned, I'm just like, "Why is Violet called Silver One? Why is that color so important?" It cannot be just because there's silver in their hair or in her
No, I
hair, I'm
totally agree.
sorry. So, I don't know what that means, I just think, like, obviously Violet is very important duh, she's our main character, but, like, just, like, the little things about, well, the silver, but also, like, Tarn being like, "You had 2 dragons choose you," and we obviously know there's so much more to Violet that we don't even know or, like, why her power is so important, her signet.
And I think she'll get a second signet, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, so what will that be? But when Andarna came to, like, save the day at the end of the book, and Violet wasn't sure, like, what it was, it said, she says, "It springs forward from the cliff like a projectile, expanding, changing colors, sprouting wing and claws, and then, like, black scales." And then Andarna had said she wanted to be like Tarn.
Which is
Um
so cute. I thought that was so cute.
And so Andarna went from gold to, like, a little rainbow dragon, and again, somebody please help me, what do these colors look like? Are they actually colors? And what are the shades? This is where my brain
I
this
don't
is
know if it's
why
pastel. I see them as, like, muted.
I
A
know.
muted blue, a muted orange. I don't know if it's, like, pastel, like, it's not giving dragon tails. Maybe Andarna is probably the closest thing to dragon tails that we've got, especially when she was gold. I personally loved that. But, like, I think it's cute, and, like,
Yeah.
her wanting to be, like when she was just going on and on about, like, "Yeah, I made myself with black scales because I wanna be like Taran." I was just like, "You're adorable. You're adorable." But there's so many questions that we don't know, and I'm so happy because from book 1, I really I had that it's like when we found out about the black dragon, I was like, "Oh, yeah, Violet's totally gonna go with black get bonded to the black dragon. Fuck yeah, can't wait." Then when we found out about the gold dragon, AKA Andarna, I was like, "Oh, we love an underdog, underestimated queen. Watch her get with and like golden dragon and like they show the fuck out." And I feel like that's what we're kind of leading up towards. Like not only does Violet have 2 dragons, but she has one of the most powerful dragons.
Mhm.
I guess maybe the only other dragon that he can't beat is that other guy's fucking dragon, one of the elder ones. The, like, war general. Maybe he's not general. Do you know who I'm talking about? I don't remember his name.
Black one or
Yeah, I think he's black.
yeah. Yeah, because Tarn is like a morning tail or something, and the other one is black, and it has a different name.
He's, like, really
Anyway,
fucking big, like, Taran's big, but he's really fucking big. It's the
yeah,
only other dragon that I don't think Taran would win against.
yeah.
But, like, she has one of the most powerful fucking dragons, and she also now is bonded to a rare fucking 7th breed dragon that no one knows exists.
Yeah.
Besides the elders. Even Taran didn't even know, which I thought was wild. And yeah, so now we have Xaden having 2 signets. I mean, she almost did have 2 signets. I mean, when she was young, it was like stopping time, incredibly
Yeah.
helpful. Now, I can only imagine, I'm assuming we're gonna get more stuff from that. Like, she's still maturing. I can't wait to find out what Taryn thinks about her being the 7th dragon. But now at least it just like everything like makes sense of like why she was able to bond and like all of this stuff and all of this sleeping and how it was really abnormal. Because she's not like the other girls.
Mhm.
She's not like the other girls. But I love that you tracked all of that because I didn't track it at all. At all. Didn't honestly like under when she was like, "Oh, that's why I kept noticing your scales." Like when she said at the end, I was like, "Oh." But
Mm.
in the moment, I did
Yeah.
not know. I did
And
not
I
know.
I
So
didn't
like
get every color. I wanna be clear, like, this could be a clown. I don't remember anything about orange or brown, but I also didn't notice it until kind of halfway through the book, so just a thought.
I think it's really interesting. I think it's
Mhm.
really, really interesting. And I think it really sets us up for book 3. And,
Yeah.
like, I'm excited now for book 3 because now this is a book that we both haven't read.
Yes, I know. It'll be good.
So
It'll be so
what
good.
are some of your questions going into book 3?
Well, the fact that we left off with Xaden being venin, like, how is that gonna go? Like, what what's gonna happen? Um, how do you become a non-venin? But now that is venin, back when she was having that dream that wasn't a dream or whatever. And he said, "You'll tear down the wards yourself when the time comes, and you won't do it for something as trite as power or as easily satiable as greed. For the most part, the logical of mortal emotions, love. Or you'll die. You both will."
I
So,
know. I thought that was gonna happen in this book. And so now that
yeah.
it didn't happen in this book, I'm like, "What the what the fuck? What the fuck?"
Yeah. So I think that's like obviously the biggest question going into 3 is just like, how is this Venom thing going to go down? And then the thing that, something that we didn't talk about that I think will have more of a role in the future is, I don't remember his name, but the guy that they got the luminary from, and how,
Cat's dad. I don't remember his name, but it's Cat's
is that
dad.
Robert Catstad? Missed that. But that like he that some talks about, oops, some talks about like having a little agreement. Um yeah, I just don't know if he's gonna show up again, I
I think
guess.
he will just because I mean, right now he's acting as king. And that's when Xena was like, I don't want to be king. Like, we're going to let him do it because, like, I'm
Mm.
more. But what we actually need to talk about, because we haven't
Yeah.
really brought into it, we have to talk about Xena being Venin. And that the
Oh, right. Yeah.
fact that he became Venin when Violet was about to, like, sacrifice her life for the fucking luminary. Like, I don't think that's coincidental. And the fact, what I'm pissed off about both of them, I'm getting close to the mic because I'm getting really pissed. They've both been, we now found out that they've both been having these nightmares.
Mhm.
They've both been having these nightmares that are low key prophecy. Hate this, hate this, hate this, hate this. And the fact, because he could feel when Violet was obviously dwindling. And, Violet was having this whole sort, which I was kind of confused about, she was talking to Andarna and she's like, Andarna, like, you have your purpose. Like, maybe this is mine. It's like, no, girl, it's not. No, girl, it's not.
Mhm.
What's interesting, I'm remembering right now, sorry. I feel like I'm like Raven. I'm like having a vision. Um, what's interesting is that, she was telling when she was sacrificing her life for the fucking luminary, which would have been bullshit, obviously, and thank God she didn't do that. Because her whole thing is like, oh, well, like, my life is like obviously tied to my dragons and like Xaden. And she's like telling them, is like, no, you have to choose to live. Like, you guys have to choose to live. Nolan also said the same thing to Jack Barlow. Like, you don't have to be bad. Be bad. That's not the right words. You don't have to be venin. You don't have to channel. You can choose to not. And for Violet, Taryn was like, no, like, you're my last rider. I'm not doing this again.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about this human life. I'm like, this is my last one. I'm just kidding. But I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, you're my last one. And so I find it to be very interesting, because she was like, I just hope like Xaden can just like choose to live or whatever. He would not. He's literally said it multiple times. So I don't know like what in her fucking brain would make her think that he would. He's literally said multiple times that he would rather everything go to ruin than live without her. So I don't know. It's pretty fucking clear to me. But I just found that to be very interesting that like when she was in the depths of like sacrificing her life, that was the moment when he channeled from the ground and became Venin. And then it was so interesting because then I'm like, "Oh, wait, maybe it was a dream," because then it jumps to Xaden's POV when he's in his dream, and I'm like, "Oh my god, maybe it's a dream." And then he goes and finds fucking Jack fucking Barlow, and I'm like, "Damn it, this was not just a horrible bad dream. This actually fucking happened." And I was screaming, crying, throwing up, finding out that Xaden was venin, like, because yeah, what do we do? And also you sent me a really interesting fucking thing on social media, which I don't love looking at after, especially with the fucking ACOTAR fandom. I need
I know.
everyone to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Like, I need everyone to shut the fuck up about these stupid fucking theories. Like, please let Sarah write her fucking book and leave everyone alone. I'm sorry. And I know that's probably really rude. And Chris and I love to clown too. We clowned so much during Throne of Glass. We really, really did. And I loved every moment of it. It's a finished series, okay? Like, we clowned
Yeah.
so hard and were proved wrong immediately. My thing is, like, we are still talking about all these theories, and I'm like, I don't wanna hear it, but I loved this theory. I loved this theory that he sent me. It was something about, like, the mom and, like,
Yeah.
after, like, the dad was studying something, which I'm also interested to find out more about, but she came home and her eyes were like bloodshot fucking red. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it reminds me then of like Nolan. I'm just wondering if Nolan has like a bigger role to play when it comes to like
Mhm.
the venin of it all. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people might be venin that we don't realize. And maybe it's not, if you keep channeling from the earth, maybe it gets out of control because they preach about balance. And I'm just wondering if you
Okay.
can channel power just how Violet channeled power into the clouds. I'm wondering if we channel power back into the earth, maybe maybe we can restore some of that balance and it's not as bad as we think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
But
wonder.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so
No.
mean about the theories, but I'm like,
No.
I also need people to like stop, like to stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was scared to send it to you too because right after I sent that to you, I started getting all these, like, reels trying to ruin
Oh,
Onyx
I've been
Storm for
just
me, and,
the second I see Xaden or Violet, I'm just
yeah, and
scrolling right
thank
past.
thankfully, I'm going into Onyx Storm with, like, nothing. But when you were saying some of that, especially how realizing that Xaden and Violet were having dreams, like, kinda like the same dream. It just made me think of when we were talking about the My Chair, My Woman scene or whatever when there was, like, a crossover where she kind of got into his mind and stuff. So, I'm wondering if that not only was it, like, a foreshadow of, like, the intrinsic thing, but if there's something bigger with, like, deeper with Xaden and Violet in terms of being intertwined. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. Um,
I know, and I was wondering, I didn't know if maybe because they were at Resin, but then I'm like, is everyone else that was at Resin having these nightmares? Or is it just because like they're so entwined with each other that like because Violet's having these and like clearly they want Violet. They want
right.
Violet. She's on a no-kill rule.
Yeah.
They want
My
her.
my my other weird maybe clown was that something because the dreams like contained a prophecy is essentially like if it was weirdly somehow related to like a second signet that she doesn't know about yet in terms of
Well, it
being
kinda
able to
hints at,
see.
like, her
Yeah.
not understanding her power, like,
Yeah.
the true depth of her power.
Yeah.
They do talk about that quite
Right.
often, and so it's really, really interesting. That's why I think the 3rd book is very much gonna be her stepping into
Uh-huh.
this new era, and then, yeah, figuring out what the fuck is going on with Xaden, like,
Mhm.
well, because he has to, like, lead people, so I'm, like, really I don't know, But maybe the mom was a little bit I don't know. Or, like, maybe it's just, like, you don't have to become venin. Do you know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like, maybe it's something that happens, but, like, you don't have to. It can be a choice. So I'm really interested. I think Nolan will hopefully, if he,
mhm.
like, I don't know, gets his head out of his fucking ass and, like, just chooses to be helpful for the right fucking person instead of
Yeah.
bringing back Jack fucking Barlow. Um, I don't know, like, maybe we'll find out some more stuff, or even
Yeah.
I love what even Xaden said when we did find out he was intrinsic, and then he was like, "Yeah, maybe if, like, we didn't kill everyone with my fucking signet, maybe I would know more about it." And I'm like, "Period, my man, period." Why are we killing people? I don't know. I just find it to be so
You you
interesting.
think too that, like, that kid that got, killed, like, in Fourth Wing, who
Mhm.
had the intrinsic thing, why can't they just, like, use him for their gain, right? Like, they're using Dane for their gain, like, they're using, like, I just
Yeah, his signet
uh,
was classified.
yeah,
So, like, I'm a little confused about I agree. I think because like, there is a thing that I when you don't, because Violet's thing was also control. She had a really, really
mhm,
hard time with control. So I think in the beginning, it kind of you were not a fan of Vampire Diaries. Not a fan, but you didn't watch Vampire Diaries.
no, I
Okay,
didn't.
for my Vampire Diaries girlies, it kinda reminds me of Stefan when, everyone becomes vampires for the first time, and he's always like, "Your emotions are heightened." And it's like, he's like, it's his thing. Like, your emotions are heightened when you become a vampire. It's like his thing. And it's kind of like when you get your signet, you start channeling power from the dragon. It's so overwhelming that then
Yeah,
you can't control whose thoughts. And it does make you crazy
yeah,
because of that. And I wish, again, if people were taught control instead of being like, I'm just not even with a gun. I think that professor strangled him, or snapped his neck. It was fucking
mhm,
not like, it's just
yeah,
so crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like, I wonder, why wouldn't you use that as a weapon? Everyone
right,
else is used a Varish is used as a weapon, like, he knows how to literally crack anybody.
yeah,
Dane's used as a weapon. Violet is the ultimate weapon. They praise her and want her to have control because she is the ultimate weapon. So, like, and the only weapon that is used against venin, like, oh my god.
well, and
Uh
also so Fourth Wing, we find out that the enemy is not necessarily, like, the enemy, so even though this venom thing is, like, super devastating, I'm just curious how much more we're gonna find out that's actually, like, not as terrible, or who's behind even maybe, like, the venom thing. I don't know, I wonder if going forward, we're gonna find out even more information that good guys are bad guys and bad guys are good guys
no,
and all that kinda
totally.
stuff.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's like a diagnosis that, like, you think would be, like, catastrophic to you, but it's like, actually, like, with with the right diet and exercise, or, like, like, if I have the tools and the medication, like, everything's gonna be okay. Like,
yeah,
it's not a death sentence, and I feel like
yeah,
that's maybe, fingers crossed, is what we're going towards, right? Because Jack was able to be a normal student while
mm,
being Venom the entire time. And
yeah.
so I'm wondering if it has something to do with, like, that urge to keep channeling from the earth. It's like when
What
you
what power is in the earth? Like, I don't understand. I mean, maybe we'll find more about that, but channeling from the earth, what is in the earth? Is there something in the earth that they can channel from?
I mean, this is like my spirituality shit talking, but it's giving, like, elemental. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
elemental, just like the energy of the earth, right? Like, the life of the earth. Think of, like, House of Flame and Shadow, when she put all that bad shit in there, it was like a barren wasteland. And then when we finally got rid of all that shit, the life came back to the earth. That's what I imagine this being like, is like you're the earth is its own living organism. It powers the plants and the animals and like the waters and like there's like life-giving shit in the earth. And so when you channel from this force, there's no balance. Like you're not or especially when you keep channeling and channeling and channeling, as I feel like these books and I think life in general, it's all about balance. So, like,
Yeah.
if you're not giving back to the earth, I mean, even think of fucking climate change, we just, like, take and take and take, and now the earth is dying and, like, all this shit, like, the then, like, it kinda just starts spiraling out of control, and so I agree, like, I'm wondering if, like, okay, just because we did this once, like, I think maybe it's, like, more of a gradual progression or, like, if there's something that we can do back into the earth that, like, counteracts it does like, just
Mhm.
because you're venin doesn't mean you're, like, an automatic bad guy, it's what you do with that power and how you keep
Mm.
taking from it.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's a whole school, like, there's a whole who is Xaden talking to? A general? Like but then there's also a sage. It's just that Violet's talking to a sage. It seems like Xaden's dreams were coming from this general. It's just a very interesting also, sorry, now I'm putting this together because Violet is, like, more of, like, the scribe life, and obviously Xaden is, like, war god like. I just find it to be very interesting that those are the 2 characters that are then, like, channeling their dreams into these people. For
Mm.
example, because a sage is very
Mhm.
much more of, like, the wise archetype,
Yeah.
the teacher-esque, while obviously a general is a fucking general, and I don't know, I just find that to be very interesting, I'm just putting that together.
Mm. Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, I feel like that's all I have to say. If do you wanna go into our favorite quotes?
Sure. Yeah, and I guess mine is kind of talks about some of the stuff we've just been doing. I'm sorry. I had it open and now I don't have it open.
It's okay. Mine's really short, so while you find yours, I'll share mine. Violence. Remember, it's only the body that is fragile. You are unbreakable. Said by my man, our man, Xaden. 10 out of 10. I thought it was beautiful and incredible, and she didn't break. Like, she didn't break. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially because her body is so breakable. I just thought it was really beautiful that even in that moment when she went through like days and days of literally like being tortured, she did not break.
Mine comes from when Felix, is that his name? Yes, sorry. Felix is helping Violet train in terms of her lightning abilities, which is just like a very different way of training her that she had at Navarre um, or at the school. Um, and Violet comments on her own signet and says, as she's like actually able to do, um, like imbuing the stone and things like that, she says, "It's the only time my power is beauty without destruction, without violence." And I don't know, it's just that simple line talking about her power as beauty, talking about it as, like, not destruction and not violence, which is a really interesting way to use it, but just, like, a momentary moment where she's appreciating it and seeing it as actually, like, beautiful, and it kinda just, like, reminds me again of I love a character who is kind of, like, afraid of themselves in some way, like, they have the power within, and they're trying to, like, channel it, and they're trying to bring it out, and they're trying to, step into who they're called to be or, like, who they were always meant to be, but there's that fear there of, like, "What is my essence?" Like, and stuff like that. So and then Felix says, "You're not watching it, Violet, you're doing it, and you're supposed to love it. It's better to find joy in your power than it is to fear it." She says, "I don't fear the power. How could I when it's so beautiful, so varied? I'm afraid of myself." And then Tarn says, "You shouldn't be. I chose you, and dragons make no mistakes." And she says, "What's it like to go through life so self-assured?" He's like, "It's life." Um, 'Cause Tarn is just a wise man that I want living in my head. But, I just I don't know. It's just a moment where Violet can appreciate, what her signet is, and especially after Varish was like, and that other teacher, I can't remember his name, but was like telling her to do it
Car.
again. Yes, again, and again, and again, and she was getting so exhausted, and
Mhm.
just kinda stressed out about, like, being able to, like, aim it and all these things where she just, like, had a moment where she could, like, just center and being like, "No, this is beautiful." I don't know.
I loved that part too. It was also a highlight that I had, especially because in the first book, when she finds out that she has lightning, and I think it was when she killed Jack Barlow. She was having those moments, or, like, I forget, it was, like, when Dane was also telling her she doesn't need to use her power, and, like, she finally found out, and she was, like, shocked. She was like, "My power is, like, complete destruction," and it was, like, a shock to her that, like, this destructive, volatile energy lived within her, and so to have that moment where she finally was able to see her power for just beauty that wasn't, like, used for killing, or, like, just strike after strike after strike, and just the vitality of it all, I thought was really beautiful, and I really loved that part as well, because my little Cancer queen really, really enjoyed that, and it was Xaden, and Xaden is officially confirmed that he is an Aries, and
Yes.
so I
I
love that.
I did see, because I guess that's something, I guess, a detail from Onyx Storm, which is the only thing that I would know, but I did see that he people kept saying he was turning 25. I don't know why, but I wish I didn't know that.
No, we did know that he was young. That's the
I
thing,
know we
like,
did, but it's
because I
just
think we
like,
met him at 23.
and they
Like,
are in college, so I understand, but, like, when I heard the number 25, I was like, "I
that's why
have
he's
no
not my number 1 book
business."
boyfriend.
Yeah,
I
he's
need my
not
book boyfriends to
500.
be hundreds of years old. I need him to be at least 500 years old. I need him to go through millenniums,
Yeah,
centuries.
so much
Um
wisdom.
But for him being a 25-year-old man, he's a good one, I will say that. He's not like the rest, I will say that. But yeah, it's a hard it's that's the one thing about fantasy, it's so young. We are young. That just came into my head. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I feel like we did a great job. We are 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds in.
Wow,
So we love an angel number, but holy shit, we really, and you know what? For us being nervous about recording this, I think we did a great fucking job.
I think we did too.
I'm gonna pat
Uh,
myself, you on the back. We're gonna cheers. And I think this was great. So the next episode, low key, is going to be an episode that isn't Onyx Storm because we need time to actually read it. It took us longer to read Iron Flame than necessary.
yeah,
So I want to just give us some time. So the next episode is going to be something different. We don't quite know what it is yet, but you will know soon. And then after that, then we're gonna do Onyx Storm.
woo,
'Cause we want enough time. Woo! I am excited. For what it's
yeah,
worth, I am excited.
I am too.
it's gonna be really fun, and I'm happy that we're reading this for the first time together, because I think that's what I miss the most. Like,
Yeah.
the magic of reading something for the first time together, I think is
Yeah.
really nice, and I was low-key reminiscing about our experience with Throne of Glass, because low-key, I think we started in May of last year.
Yeah, sounds right.
Maybe we'll do our ode to Throne of Glass episode one of these days. I mean, eventually we'll have to reread, of course, and do deep dives, but anyway, I think this is it for this
I think so
episode.
too.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, follow us on All Too Well Read Pod on Instagram. You can follow each of us separately. Chris has an amazing Substack and does amazing book reviews on The Flourishing Reader on Instagram. I do a bunch of random things, but mostly astrology, and also starting to post. I mean, I'm not starting to post about my book, but eventually I will. I also have a newsletter that also is pretty fucking dope. You can subscribe to that. Follow me on Megan Unbound. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments if we suck, or like let us know like the things that we missed from the girlies that are like so deep. Like help us. Help us.
Yeah, if we got anything wrong too, let us know. I had moments where I was like during this podcast where I was like, did that happen during then? So I know the diehard fans, they've got this all down. They know the order. They
Help
know
us.
they know all the details. So be nice, but we welcome we welcome your
Yes,
your
please. Like
help.
we're literally just girls. Like I'm literally just a girl. So like like
Just a baby.
don't be yeah, be nice, but like just like you we're open to help, you know what I mean? Especially because like yeah, this is its own beast. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll talk soon. Until next time.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.